Hi, well let's do a spread for today. Hope you're feeling good. I'm feeling pretty good. It is lovely and sunny outside. I took a couple more pictures today to upload to my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/Andy's Readings. You can see loads of pictures on there, the cats, the chickens, the trees, all the stuff going on around my house. And you can even buy me or buy the channel a coffee if you like. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please do. It makes a massive difference to the channel. So we're going to do a spread today. We're going to do a 5-card horseshoe using Tarot in Wonderland, one of the sort of staple decks that we use on this channel, the other one being the Starman. And there are many more decks actually, but those are the two we use most of the time. And also today, we're going to be using Doreen Virtue's Ascended Masters deck. Now this is quite an old deck, it's been out a long time now, but it's very similar actually, just in a rather different way, but a lot of similarities with Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray. It is very like the Kyle Gray deck, the Ascended Masters. It's not all the same characters, but many of them cross over. There's Hilarion, there's Saint Germain. Oh, too many to mention, really. Just a little bit of a different take that Kyle Gray came up with on this deck. But yeah, but there we go. Two great decks. We'll have a Significatory Ascended Masters card. We'll do a 5-card horseshoe tarot spread with Tarot in Wonderland, and we'll see how we go. Okay, let's go over to the table and have a proper look. Okay, so I had a little shuffle away from the camera actually, because things just go out of focus if I try and shuffle on this camera at the moment. So this is the one that came out of the Ascended Masters deck, which is a Hay House deck by Doreen Virtue back in the day. Excuse me. And we've got Krishna. Lord Krishna saying, find the blessings in your current situation. Well, that is such an easy thing to say and such a hard thing to actually put into practice in this world, because things are so crazy at the moment. We have had great relief this week in that all the craziness over the election and everything has ironed itself out one way or another, but we're already finding things we need to ask questions about. The general world situation that's been going on for about a year or so now is really not showing any signs of settling down, and I think everyone's kind of wondering, you know, where are we going to be this time next week, where are we going to be sort of this time tomorrow even. It's very hard to know. It's such a fast changing situation, so hard to know where things are going. But the bottom line is every situation offers some kind of opportunity to grow and something we can learn. If we really curse any situation, we're going to block the energy flow in that situation, and that's going to make things grow a lot worse. On the other hand, if we recognize the blessings within the situation wherever we are now, and believe me, however crazy this thing gets, there really are blessings there, because there always are. There's always some good energy somewhere. Then we're going to get that same sort of supportive, healing energy flowing back towards us the more we recognize that. So it's really worth thinking about. And friends, I know you're going to have to rack your brains to find that. I'm racking mine at this very moment, trying to think, you know, what could actually improve with the world as it is. I'm sure we all believe that the world can improve, and goodness knows it couldn't get much worse than it was last year. And the astrology of this year is showing a much gentler year and much more opportunities for us to improve and for the world around us to improve, which is you know, a big part of us improving in the way we feel and in how well we're doing in life. But it's just very hard to see that at the moment, you know, because things are all up in the air. But the thing is, you know, they are up in the air. Nothing is actually written in stone. And the biggest blessing, I think, that we could really say in any situation that's going on the world stage or in our own lives at the moment, is that the only way is up. And it is up in the air. Things can change. Things have to change, really. We can't go on like this. So look for those blessings, you know. When we draw draw this card, there is some kind of unrecognized blessing going on, and I'm really not surprised, you know, that a lot of people would feel like that at the moment. And you know, different strokes for different folks. This could be something you've learned, something that you've gained, something that you've come to understand. Even, you know, maybe now you know what the dark side looks like a bit more, and it's actually always worth knowing what that's like. It's only when we see darkness that we actually recognize what light is. There's a great spiritual book called Red Cloud Speaks, and Red Cloud was a spirit guide who came to the world around I think it was about 1918 actually, towards the end of the First World War, with the idea of kind of helping mankind never to have another world war. And of course we didn't really learn from it. He was channeled by a great British spiritualist medium called Estelle Roberts. He was her trance guide, and she actually wrote down a lot of what he said in 1938, and of course within a year we'd gone back to war again. And that was because I think we listened to him, or at least spiritualists did, and the world was kind of going in a very positive direction right up until that whole thing went off and that whole thing happened. And I guess, you know, we had to do something. That wasn't a situation with Hitler and everything that could just be allowed to fester. But somehow we got a pretty negative, we got a positive outcome, but a very negative few years along the way, and many people died. So it's always good to listen to the highest truth. And you have to really look out for the highest truth, and you have to search for it, you know. So anyway, some more meanings for this card. Instead of worrying, pray and use positive affirmations, because that's the way we attract a better world around us, and, you know, we just attract goodness and healing and love into the world around us, which helps everyone then. Also, you know, everything is in divine order. Everything, the way it is now, is as it's meant to be, and that is because it's got to come into balance. It's going to come into balance. This really is how it works. The situation is actually resolving itself along those lines, the way it's meant to. And it says in the book for this card, you heal through the power of gratitude. So there we are. Find the blessings in your current situation. Krishna is one of the incarnations of Vishnu in Hindu mythology. In fact, he's the 8th incarnation, one of 3 Hindu gods who oversees and protects the earth and all of us who live here. He's a messenger of joy and happiness, romantic love, spiritual teachings, and he brings blessings to whoever calls on him. So call on Krishna if you're finding this one difficult. Okay, well, I wonder what tarot cards are going to come out to go with this one then. That's our significator. Let's just rejig things, and I will come back with the tarot cards in just a blink of an eye. So here we are, cards on the table, and I'll put my cards on the table before I do this and say there was an unfortunate incident in which I didn't actually manage to record the first time I did this spread. It's the same cards, we're going over them again, but I didn't have an SD card in the camera. One of those crazy things about making videos. I'm getting used to it. Hey, what are we going to do about it? Just keep going, I think. So with that, a 5-card horseshoe spread from Tarot in Wonderland, and here is card number 1, and look at that, it's the Lovers. Couldn't ask for a much better start to a reading there. Suggests a love interest, I should say, but also you got to kind of think about what love is, what's the nature of love. Often in the old tarot books it tells you this card is about the difference between sacred love and profane love, and you know, love that's kind of, well, you know what I mean, just not serious love, not love that's going anywhere. And it's worth thinking about that. It's worth reflecting on that at this point. Now the significator was Krishna telling us, you know, basically count your blessings, find the blessings in your current situation, and you might actually find that there's more love going on than you think, because this it really is card number 1 here. You know, is love an ego-driven thing? Well, I think it's always bound to be a bit ego-driven, because it's something we feel in our hearts. You know, it's the higher heart chakra, most definitely. But there's a lot of green in this card, and we've got to think about the lower heart chakra as well. And that's, you know, that's love in all its details, isn't it? That's really all the different things that love can mean coming up there. But, you know, the motivation for love and actually expressing it does come from the individual in the situation. So is it an egotistical kind of love? Or is it patient love? Is it just love that's looking for the truth, you know? Is it really true love, I suppose, is the way to put it. You've got to ask, is the love that we feel, or the love that we want, is that going to benefit the person we love or the situation we're trying to pour love into? Or is it actually going to diminish it? Is it going to bring it back? And, you know, also importantly, does love hurt you? You know, the love you feel, is it, you know, is it making you hang on to someone who's not really good for you? Is it encouraging you to actually do better at something? Is it encouraging you to leave a situation where you just kind of can't be yourself? That's really worth thinking about as well, because love covers all those different things. The Queen of Hearts here is really being quite, she's quite clear in what she's doing, but then she is a bit of an old stroppy so-and-so, the Queen of Hearts, to be honest. And the King of Hearts here looks a bit kind of henpecked, doesn't he? But he needs to think about it. And, you know, which one of these are you? Hopefully you're neither of them, because these are the two extremes. But there we go. That's card number 1. Let's put it there where we can see it. And just think about that, you know, are we actually following just quick emotions, you know, things that pass quickly without actually questioning what's going on? Are we being mindful? Are we actually making decisions consciously, I should say, about, you know, who we love, how we love, and what it all means? That's the question that we've got to ask ourselves with card number 1, because it's a great card, but it is right at the beginning of the spread here. So there's definitely more to come, and we'll see what comes next with card number 2. And card number 2 is the Star. And I love it when the Star comes up, actually. It's a very, very positive card with a lot of good possibilities involved with it, certainly. But at the same time, it's something that you need to take a step back sometimes when the Star comes into it, you know. What this lady is doing is she's retrieving the glove and the fan from the pond. And this relates to the Alice in Wonderland story, like this whole deck does, in that she's kind of pulling out the good experiences of Alice's life, and she's also getting the good things back that got left behind along the way. She's a bit like the Nine of Pentacles in that way, and there is certainly abundance attached to this card, but in this case it's more the abundance of nature. When we look up here and we see all these stars here, and it's so good to look up and see the stars if you can. I'm told, well, I realise that in a lot of cities you just can't look up and see the stars, and so many of us live in cities. It's a fact of life. I'm very lucky here. It's coming up to full moon, and the sky is lit up outside at the moment. It's nice and clear, and consequently freezing as well, but I can see stars. But I'm told that even in Los Angeles, if you really kind of screw your eyes up and focus on it, you can see 2 or 3 stars in the sky, and it's a great shame that you can't see them all. It really is. But the fact is, seen or unseen, nature always has this abundance for us, and the Star is quite a long way through the journey of the major arcana, you know. We're at number 17 here. I think there's only 4 steps to go, in fact, before we actually get to the World card with this. So it's really, this is kind of stop and think, you know. Maybe go back, maybe fix things if that's what you need to do. But at the same time, take heart, because nature is here to support you. Loads and loads of green energy in this card. And of course, the image of pure, clear water with the reflection. And, you know, the forces of nature that way reflect what's in your heart when you actually lean over to look back into the past. And, it's not just all about looking backwards, you know. This is what needs to happen to make forward motion really positive. We leave the past behind for sure, but we always want to keep the lessons, and we want to keep the love, and maybe we want to turn over a new leaf, which looks like what's been happening to some of the leaves in this, actually. Also, is it a sunset? Is it a sunrise? I always have that confusion with this card. I guess, friends, it's a sunset, just because of the way the stars are represented there. But when the sun sets, that's time to have a rest. That's time to get over the stresses of whatever's been going on in life during the whole sort of day that we've been through. And every night we get a chance to go into our dream world, excuse me, and contemplate these things. Let me have a quick drink of water. And even if we don't really want to contemplate, our dream world will very often give us some kind of vision of what's happened in the day, what it means and where it's going. So that's card number 2, the Star. And so, you know, relating back to card number 1, the Lovers here, which is number 6 in the Major Arcana, this is telling us to ask questions, really, about, you know, what motivates us, I suppose, as much as anything. This is slightly different, but both of these cards are pointing us towards having a real nice, solid platform from which to go forward on our journey through the year, through the week, through the month, through life, whatever it is that you're contemplating at the moment, because the most important interpretation of this reading, like all the readings I do, is the one you actually put on it yourself, you know. I'm doing this really, I suppose any psychic ought to do it, and I think most psychics do actually do it this way. We're actually trying to help you with something, and as I'm doing this, obviously I'm being guided by it, and it's giving me some good advice as well, which is the reward of actually doing it. Anyway, I digress massively all the time. It's something I'm forever doing. Let's turn over card number 3. This one is the 7 of Cups, and much craziness seems to be going on here in the 7 of Cups, but that's the nature of the 7 of Cups. It's a crazy card, and it points to kind of crazy things going on in life. It focuses mostly on the idea of creativity, you know. We've all got an imagination, no matter how deeply we might be in touch with our imagination, and, you know, it's actually always good to try and call your thoughts towards your imagination, I guess, because it relates to the subconscious mind. It relates to everything that's going on sort of subconsciously, you know, and that is where the spirit realms talk into. That is where a great deal of wisdom comes from. So that's the focus of this card. The world is full of all sorts of possibilities, some things that exist already, and some things that we could bring into being. That's the next level of possibility, really. So, you know, some of the possibilities are scary, some of us are just fit and feel great, and sometimes we just get our attention drawn to possibilities that we probably don't even want, you know. There's stuff going on all the time. Some things come from that real out there sense that the future could be anything. Actually, the future could be anything, but we've got to remember that our path is already planned out in many ways, actually. And here we've got all these mad, wacky, different images which are apparently meaningless. And what Alice is doing here is looking away and looking forward. She's enjoying the craziness of it, and you know, she's got the candles around her as well, throwing light on it. But the candle light symbolizes, you know, true light, not artificial light. And she's looking away from these and looking forward, because the journey is there to make. And no matter how much we try to plan stuff out or, you know, make a difference to whatever's going on in the moment, it's all actually, as I'm so often saying, stuff that we sign up to before we come to this world. So that's card number 3. It is the 7 of Cups. What is card number 4 going to tell us? And it's the 5 of Swords. So what is going on with the 5 of Swords here? Well, The Queen again is taking no nonsense. It's a different Queen to this one, but she's not looking happy there, is she? Dear me. And I guess not. I mean, this is short-term future. And as we look forward in the short term, at the present time, with the present state of the world and everything that's going on, it looks like... looks impossible, I suppose I want to say. It looks impossible to really get a handle on what we want to happen and how we want to make it happen, because causes always have effects, and some of those effects are unseen. So there's a lot of thinking, a lot of deciding, and the fact that we can see 2 playing cards in the scene here and some paint, and we don't know what's going to happen with the paint, shows that it's game on. That's the nature of this deck. When we see cards with their faces showing to us in this deck, it's suggesting that there's a game going on. But there's also much healing to be had, actually, if we just go with the flow, very much like Alice is doing in the heart of the matter here, the 7 of Cups. You know, she's not being confused by the images, she's looking forward, and here we've got the Queen. Whatever she's doing, whatever the sword means, whatever our thoughts are going to end up being once we've finally gathered them together, at least 2 of those thoughts have gone to waste there. 2 of those decisions even have gone to waste, and that's the nature of it. It's very random. The future is a very random thing, but it's always worth being on this healing journey, as the purple that the Queen is wearing here really strongly suggests. And we've got some higher heart chakra pink here, and that's taken us back to the idea of interpersonal love, which is a very real suggestion that's coming from the lovers here, you know. Are you looking for love? Are you hoping love's going to happen? I mean, that's certainly something where we have to make random decisions and we never know what's going to happen, you know. But in the context of all the cards I'm looking at here, there's a lot to think about, and the 5 of Swords is really all about that. That's the nature of the swords, and the 5 of Swords, it's halfway through that sword journey, which is so difficult to second guess. So what have we here for card number 5, our outcome card? This is the Ace of Wands. Okay, now this is a really nice magical card to get. I love the aces. The aces tell us all kinds of great things are possible, and isn't that the case with everything we've seen so far in this reading, friends? Lots of, you know, possibilities, lots of not knowing what's going to happen, but the magic is there to make whatever it is happen, and the magic is there to make it right if we just kind of meditate, contemplate, think about all that. So the Ace of Wands here, it's a promise really of an opportunity to change whatever your will or whatever your ideas that you're trying to think about and decide on here, to transform that into something real, and it's likely to be hard work, and that is the nature of the world at the moment, most certainly, and not just in politics. You know, the cosmic energy at the moment is very like that. We know we're coming towards the age of Aquarius. We know what that's supposed to mean. We can look it up, we can read about it. It's been prophesied for so many thousands of years, really, as long as there's been human history. And it's always, you know, even before human beings existed, it was always written in the stars somewhere that we were going to go on this path and we were going to have to try and make something happen. But it's hard work, it's frustrating, a bit like trying to light a fire with sticks, which is what the book says about this card, actually. But it is most definitely worth it, because it's really, there's a strong chance to create some. Let me bring it into the middle, actually, like I did with all the others. There's a real strong possibility of creating something here, making something good happen. And it's going to be a blend of desire, passion, will, drive, inspiration, what you can actually do, what you've got the strength to do, the energy you've got. And it needs us to be enterprising, you know, with confidence, believing it's going to actually happen. Set those goals and invent whatever we've got to invent to make things happen going forward. And that applies to the human race just as it applies to the age of Aquarius and all of us individually. So there we are, friends, a 5-card horseshoe. Hope you enjoyed that. And now we've seen the spread, let's come back to the significatory card that I drew right at the beginning, and let's just look at that in the context of what we've just seen. Everything there, from the Lovers all the way through right to the Ace of Wands that we got at the end there. It's all about possibilities, and all these possibilities are things that we don't yet know. You know, you can take out insurance to pay for things you don't really know, you can't actually be sure about in so many different ways in this life. But one thing we can't take insurance out against is the nature of what life's going to be like going forwards, you know. You can take out insurance for the future. That's what a lot of insurance is actually about. But what we need is divine reassurance when it comes to the spiritual nature of life. And I don't just mean spiritual feelings in terms of God and angels and everything to do with the divine. I mean, what kind of spirits are you in? How are you going to feel now? How do you feel now? How are you going to feel in the future? That's what I want to say. All those cards are pointing to actually very positive success, but we ended up with an ace and a ton of possibilities. In fact, you know, even the Lovers was a ton of possibilities. All the cards were showing a ton of possibilities, possibly except the Star. That isn't exactly what the Star was about at card number 2, but still, life isn't going to unfold in the most happy way, in the most positive way, if we don't take that step back with the Star and actually kind of bathe in all the important things that matter to us. There are always opportunities to grow and learn as we go forward. That really is what it's all about. And the most important thing to do, really, is not to block the flow of positive energy if we can help it. And that's a difficult one, actually. I'm keenly aware of it because of the mediumship I do, but I'm sure whatever your spiritual practice is, if you've got a speciality or maybe not at all, that's, you know, different strokes for different folks. That's how I roll. It's how the channel rolls all the time. But whatever you're actually practicing, you're going to be reminded again and again about the flow of energy, and it can take surprising turns. When I started doing mediumship appearances in public halls and in spiritualist churches, I always found that when I was kind of really getting it as right as I'm ever likely to get it, in other words, when it was going really well, the information would flow and flow, and it just wouldn't stop. And sometimes it would actually stop, and then I would think maybe I wasn't having such a good night, and that would knock my confidence a bit. Until I started studying trance mediumship, and there were some amazing trance mediums that I was lucky and blessed to be able to work with and just to watch, you know, and to listen to. And they would very often, they'd have this great flow going because they were connected to their guide, and they were actually speaking the words that the guide was giving them to speak. In fact, really, it was the guide speaking through them. That's how trance mediumship works. But every now and again, the flow would dry up and they just wouldn't say anything for maybe 20, 30 seconds. It would go quiet. And when I talked to people about this, they told me, well, yes, you know, the information is traveling between worlds. It's coming from the divine realms into the worldly realms, into the laws of physics. And it's a very big kind of, you wouldn't think there could be such a change that would apply to information, but the spirit guides are subject to it, so the information is subject to it as well. And then I stopped worrying about it when I was conducting a service or giving a message out, and the information just stopped flowing because I realized it was natural. So interruptions are natural, and the crazy situation we see in the world around us today is absolutely natural. So do look for the blessings in your current situation. No matter how wacky things get, no matter how crazy things get, there is absolutely always hope, because we've got a future coming, And that's a blessing that you can find in any situation, you know. We know that when things are down, when things are no good, we know the only way is up, and that in itself is a blessing. So there is a blessing there somewhere. But friends, think about the card you chose there, and just, you know, move away from worry. Use your positive affirmations, positive thinking, and just remember that everything is in the order it's supposed to be in at the moment. And so life, the universe, and God and angels and everything are all on the case, and this is going to resolve itself perfectly, you know. And if you can be grateful for that, if you can be happy for that, even if you're in a terrible situation now, in which case you're in my thoughts and prayers, you really are, but even if you're in a terrible situation now, just remember that going forward things are going to come more into balance, you know. I hope I live long enough to see the whole world balanced like that. I don't know if I will. I think I'm really asking rather a lot there. But I know that every day I live, and every bit of bad news that comes on TV or the radio or in the newspapers, every bit of bad news has taught someone a lesson, someone's learned something, and the world is a slightly better place day by day. And, you know, think about that a year from now. If things have got a tiny bit better every day, 1 year from now, they'll have got 365 tiny bits better. So somehow things are always improving, and we see things take a turn for the worse, we really do. But that is nothing, my friends, to lose hope over. And the only reason that is a problem is that it does cause people to lose hope. This is really divine wisdom, I guess, what I'm talking about. And I don't mean I'm divinely wise, but I've had the benefit of sort of reading lots of scripture and meeting lots of spiritual people, including a great many of you guys, actually. And do leave me a comment, by the way, because it's always great to network with you guys and know who I'm actually doing these readings for. But that's a blessing to me, you know, and that makes every day of my life a bit better than the one that went before it. And if you can just embrace that idea, because as crazy as it sounds, it really is possible, then you find the hope, then you make the progress. But it's a divine thing. So keep looking up, don't look down, you know. That's the bottom line. Ground yourself downwards, but look upwards, because that is where the answers are, friends. And so, there you are, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget ko-fi.com/Andy's Readings to just find out a whole load more about me and what's going on with the channel and everything like that. Do hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't already. It makes a huge difference. Leave me a comment, guys. It's always good to share the journey, you know, and helps me and my spirit guides zero in to who we're doing these readings for. Keep your eyes peeled for live videos. I'm always trying to find little kind of windows when I can get a live link. If not before, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. UK time. That's 2:30 in the afternoon Central Time. They'll be alive. Meanwhile, thumbs up please if you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you again very soon. Peace.